Peace, everybody. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the PWP Sessions podcast. This is season 2, episode number 9. Thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. My next guest is a rising artist by the name of Vysion. I'm very excited to have this conversation, but before we get started, we're just going to do a brief introduction. So as stated, this is season 2, episode 9. And for those that are not already familiar with this podcast, the PWP Sessions is a podcast where I interview new or established authors of poetry, as well as rappers or MCs, and I feature a performance of their work along with an audience Q&A session. I am the host, Noel. I am a poet, author, blogger, workshop facilitator, and event host, and I am the creator of the PWP Sessions. And today's guest is Vysion, and this is his bio. Bronx-born, Brooklyn-based conscious rapper Vysion's story is one of triumph, how a braggadocious rapper overcame mental health struggles and along the way created a platform that bridges the gap between music and mental health. His latest single, the aptly titled Save Me, represents a new era of inspired and purposeful creativity. Vysion's music unapologetically honors his feelings with goosebump-inducing insights, viscerally poetic phrases, and a laid-back flow. His tracks are cinematically musical, often crafted from orchestral pieces, haunting piano motifs, and ominously entrancing bass lines. His thought-provoking artistry has garnered favorable comparisons to Mos Def, Talib Kweli, and Common. Vysion's work has been featured in such esteemed outlets such as XXL Magazine, Video City TV, Zevo TV, Soul Science Radio Station, Skilly Magazine, American Pride Magazine, Flyer Magazine site, Trend City Radio, Lutig or LUTG Radio, Next Up Mixtape Volume 295, We Work in Mixtape Volume 197, and ThisIs50.com. He also earned an exclusive sponsorship from the Rude Boy clothing brand. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce Vysion. Good afternoon, bro. How are you doing today? Thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you so much. I'm great. How are you?
All is well, man. All is well, man. Glad to have this conversation.
Thank you.
Oh,
Same to
I'm
the
going to
privilege.
start with a basic question that I ask all my guests. Who is Rich Vision? How do you describe yourself or define yourself?
Yes, Rich Vision, like the bio says, Rich Vision is a person who's bridging the gap between music and mental health. He is a role model for those who don't have one. He is a mental health advocate. He is a leader, and he is just willing to just be vulnerable so that other people could know that, hey, like you are worthy, regardless of who it is, what age bracket you're in. Like you're worthy, and that's the person which Vision stands for: self worth, self love, self care. I want to use my platform to remind people, like wherever, however, whatever you've been through in life, whatever trials and tribulations, that you can make it through the other side. And I'm a walking testimony of that. Which Vision is a suicide survivor.
All right, awesome, man, awesome, man. Now, what made you decide to be an MC? Like, what was it that inspired you to take this path as opposed to, maybe just being a writer, author, or whatever other creative outlet there is? What made you think? What made you decide or believe that, hey, this is what you wanted to do?
Honestly, interestingly, it came from this my just in high school or middle school. I was introduced to journal writing, and to be honest, that was so therapeutic for me, to the point that it was like, wow, like I can actually be kind of uncensored and not have the outside world stifle my creativity. And this that alone allowed me to just feel like, oh, I could say something and have a voice and stand firm on it, and just be able to just honor my emotions. And through that therapy of just journal writing, what happened was I was just so inspired that I'm like, hey, I can really make this into something that's worthwhile. Like I could get into, and then I got into poetry, then I dabbled in rap and things like that. Started to form afterwards.
All right, awesome. And what, like, when you first started writing, like, what specifically were the topics that you talked about in the beginning?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Like I came from a very braggadocious type of content. I was mostly speaking about like clothes, money, kicks, and honestly how tough I thought I was. I honestly lived a part of my life through a narrative, false narrative, uh, and that was pretty much my whole, well, part of my career. And to be honest with you and transparent, I would say it took people checking me and saying like, hey, like you're not being who you are. And that really was an aha moment for me to be like, okay, I cannot live with myself if I continue to just go down a road where I'm not being true to who I am. Like, okay, I could lie to other people. It's still not okay, but I cannot lie to myself. And I really had to dig deep within myself and do a lot of inner work and healing to be at this point where I'm like, no, I have a story. Like I didn't go through these trials and tribulations for nothing. Like it's meant to serve somebody other than myself. So that's why now I talk about different things, but more conscious of what I write about, because I want my story to help someone else that's going through depression, who's facing adversities in life, that they could also make it to the other side like I have.
All right, definitely, definitely. And like in prepping for like going back to when you first decided you wanted to perform, like when you were prepping for like your very first performance, like who or what do you give credit to helping you prepare for that first event that you had?
That's a good question. I mean, I was inspired by Tyler Kweli, Most Def, a lot of the conscious rappers in that time period, when I first started out, and a lot of my pieces were conscious. conscious about what I was saying, and I really wanted the core to be having a message, a core message that I could get across to other people. Whatever message I was speaking about at the time, that I felt like it was a pressing thing to speak about.
Right, right. And what was it like? What was that like for you when you took the stage the very first time? Like you already decided that this is what you wanted to do. Like what was that moment like where you was the way you when you got that first show, that first performance, and you were getting yourself ready for that? Like what was that? What was that experience like?
Honestly, my first performance was uh, like all my performances very nerve wracking. Like I tend to freeze up like a mannequin a lot because I think I get too wrapped up on what other people think or think of me, or like what they're gonna think of me. Like if I'm not like 100% like perfect on the first go, and I really like hurts my like my ego and my confidence level to the point where it's like I get stuck. And like my first performance was very like nerve wracking. It was just like I was just like very scared, and that's why even like after my first performances, I realized that like I really need to start like doing this more often, because I'm not gonna be able to face my fear if I only do it like once in a blue moon. So that's when I really started to challenge myself to like perform at every event I could, even if it was in a church setting. It just gave me practice to be able to just share my gifts and be able to just work on my nerves, my stage performance anxieties.
Right, right. That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, like once like after you first started performing, like at what point did you decide that like you wanted to go to the next level and actually produce a record or produce an album? Like can you share like what your first project actually was and what that process was like?
Yes, my first project was in 2015. It was a project entitled Set in Stone. It was I believe it was a 5 song project, and it was exciting to be able to just have something like physical like in my hands after completing it. It was like sleepless nights, a lot of sacrifices, early mornings. I remember like pulling all-nighters to get some of the songs done, researching reference tracks to see what sound I wanted, and trying to get inspired by what the message was. But what I would say about the project was it had its pros and cons. Like the pros was, some of the accolades in the bio due to that project being released, and also like learning that like I need to really establish the core message of what I really want to bring to an audience. Like it was more like mixed between like braggadocious and like self conscious records. Like Being Cool was one of the songs to remind people like, hey, like you're chasing after cloud, but like you're killing yourself by doing so, and we need to reverse the narrative. And songs like My Only Option and things like that to inspire people to chase their dreams. So, that process was like also trying to weed out like what I really wanted to say, and to be like firm on my beliefs of like, okay, this is what I stand for. But the message was diluted because there was like 2 messages in the EP. So that was a lot of the process, was like weeding out like what topics to really speak about that would really like honor like where I was at the moment. And I think that those songs really did honor where I was at that particular time frame.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. Now, would you consider yourself to be an independent artist? You don't feel you don't feel necessarily that you're like mainstream yet to the point where you have a record deal with a major label or what have you, right? Like where do you stand in terms of how you categorize yourself?
I categorize myself as indie. I'm not signed to a label, and that's something that I stand firm on. Like I'm not trying to get signed to a label. That was never my intention to get signed to a label. I always wanted to do it indie. indie style, and that's just, that's my how I'm gonna do it.
And what do you feel are the advantages to that, or why do you feel why would you say that's your preference?
Um, I would say, to be honest with you, like, I like being able to have my own creativity, and I know, like, when you work under a label, it's like you don't get a lot of the creative freedom that, as an indie artist is able to obtain or have. So I believe that there's a lot more advantages being indie. Like, you can keep a lot of most of your revenue that you're making and not have to worry about, like, oh, I gotta recoup on label expenses and things of that nature. So I just think there's, like, I don't know, there's a lot more benefits having an indie type of I guess having any type of brand than trying to chase after a major label who may just not feel like, you're worth their time, and then they could always go to the next artist who they feel like they can put on.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. And that's a good point because I feel the same way when it comes to self-publishing. You are in control of how you want to produce your project. You are in control of the audience that you want to reach. There's greater flexibility and greater potential for profit because you're the one that's making the decisions on who you want to reach, how you want to reach them, when you want to reach them. You don't have to deal with a whole bunch of hands taking the profits that you work for. So it's definitely a lot of advantages to going the indie route for sure, for sure. Excellent, excellent. Now, would you say there's certain subjects that you like writing about or speaking on more than others, or do you feel like you just share on subjects that are close to your heart and on your mind?
Honestly, a lot of my branding is basically based on mental health. Also, I speak about challenges as far as, like, my own limiting beliefs, and also chasing my dreams and feeling like, um at times, like, I would feel like I'm not enough. So I speak about that a lot in my music as well. And a lot of those are like my main, like, brand pillars, topics that I always talk about in my music.
That's what's
And
up.
there's
That's what's
different
up.
aspects to that too, like, just my mental health, just being able to just, go through, like, moments of depression and be able to just be transparent and say, like, okay, I need help, and get the therapy and get the healing so that I can write about these things to help other people. And then, like, the limiting belief side would be kind of like more of, like, me feeling that I'm not worthy of, like, being an artist, and times that I would sabotage myself and not pursue a lot of opportunities that were handed towards my way because of the fact that I didn't see myself um in a position where I could hold the torch to my contemporaries in this field. And also, like, the whole side of like, chasing your dreams. Like, at first, when I started, I'm not gonna lie, like, it was so hard to get support from, a particular loved one, to the point where I was like, I had to, like, be firm. I'm like, okay, I believe in this, and if you don't believe at this, in me in this moment, that's still fine. I still love you, but I have to do this because this is what God gave me. So a lot of some of my music is also gonna represent, like, that struggle of, like, having a dream and, like, being able to chase it regardless of who's in my corner and who is not in my corner. Because if that's what God gave you, like, you know, just use it, and your room will make room for you. And that's what I believe in wholeheartedly.
Excellent. That's what's up. Now let's dive into mental health just a little bit because the mental health is becoming more and more pushed into the forefront over the past several years. And there's been a huge stigma when it comes to mental health and therapy, especially among people of color. So when you take that into consideration, how important is it to you to make sure that that you're sharing your stories of your struggles with mental health, and making it a point to let people know that, that mental health is important to talk about. It's not taboo. It's something that's very serious that needs to be addressed. Like, how important is it to you to make sure that you're sharing your story of how you dealt with your mental health struggles?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question because to me, it's like life or death. Like for me, like I can't just sit here on podcasts or on stage and act like like I didn't go through some stuff and lie about it just to get validated by strangers. That's not the case. Like mental health is so important. Like celebrities go through mental health also. It's not just um it's not like, and also young kids too, like, especially nowadays, and especially in social media, you have cyberbullying, you have, these things like trolling, and it's ridiculous, honestly. And I know it's something that needs to be talked about because you know why? There's a lot of people who are not here because of the fact that their mental health was in shambles, and they didn't get the support that they needed and they rightfully deserved. And I'm so grateful that now a lot of people are speaking about it, such as myself, because of the fact that you know how can I not, like, it's my responsibility now with someone who has a platform. Like I can't just talk about everything that's good in life. Like, like David Goggins say, it's not gonna be always 70 degrees and sunny. Like if you don't talk about these things, like who's gonna heal? Like, you only heal when you talk about the hard conversations. And, honestly, through therapy, it helped me like be able to just like monitor like my self-worth and really feel like, okay, like maybe I need to take it more. It honestly took the pandemic, to be honest with you, like almost committing suicide in front of my sister to be able to say, like, wait a minute, hold up, like I'm living life on the fast lane, and I really need to slow the heck down because all the stuff that I worked so hard for, I was almost out the window in like 2 seconds. And that for me, like I can't live with myself going back to those memories, 2 years ago, almost three now, because 2023 is coming up. But it's so important because like you said, like it's not taboo because you know why? Because people who say honestly that I'm gonna be transparent, people who say that they are okay all the time and hide behind a smile, you don't know. Like a lot of people go through demons behind the scenes, and like because of the fact that you think by them smiling and they saying that they're fine, that they're okay. That's not always the case. A lot of people don't like to speak about things like that, and I even talk about it in some of my videos backlog because a lot of people feel like they alienate because of the fact that a lot of people too judgmental. They judge you fast, and it's like, oh, like, oh, you too depressed, or you too this. Like depression is not a button. Like that's what I want to speak about. Like depression is not a button that you could just say, okay, one day I'm gonna be depressed, one day I'm not. Like you need to have healing. Like you need therapy. Like we need help, and to be able to speak about these things so other people could know that it's okay to get help. I think that's noble.
Right. Absolutely. And it's very important because I'm a firm believer in transparency. And when it comes to the arts, whether you write, whether you rap, whether you paint or dance, whatever the case may be, it's important to be transparency because it's only through transparency is when you're able to connect with your audience and have and give them a real sense of who you are and what you stand for. And people can only relate to what's real. Anybody can put on a facade and make things look nice and pretty, but whatever is real is always going to come to the forefront. You could only put on a facade for so long. Eventually it's going to fall apart, and then you're going to be left with what's really there. And if you're not dealing with what's really there, it's only detrimental to your own health and well-being. Never mind other people. You're only damaging yourself. You're not helping yourself. So there's liberty in being transparent. And connected to that, you're talking about, you mentioned about dreams and goals, and you're deciding to pursue your dream. It's very important that when you make up your mind to do something, Your dream is your dream, period. Whatever God gave you to do, do it to his glory, because he's the one that gave you the gift. And we have a responsibility while we're living in this world, while we are alive, to walk in the fullness of our potential, to walk in our purpose at our full potential. So when you're fulfilling your purpose, and doing what exactly God created you to do, then there's nothing to apologize for. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to chase anybody down to accept it. You just be yourself, be you. God will bring the people that's meant to be in your life to support you or encourage you or whatever is needed. But you know, we're not created to fit into anyone else's idea of who we should be. Only God's opinion of us matters. And when we're already walking in what God calls us to be, and we know that we're pleasing him, that's all that matters. Everything else is just secondary. So those two things kind of go together, because it's important to be very expressive and honest with who you are. And it's important to know who God is and what God gave you to do while you're in this world. So those two are kind of connected, and they're both equally important. And with that being said, when you're presenting yourself as an artist, you hear the word representation, being thrown around in different circles under different circumstances. But when it comes to yourself as a person, and when it comes to your art, how important is it for you to make sure that you're representing yourself in your totality? Whether you're talking about race, religion, life experiences, your points of view as your experiences from a male point of view, all the things that make up who you are. How important is it to you that as an artist that you're making that you're representing yourself in your totality through your art?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question because it's life or death. I feel like, to be honest, like a lot of people should honor their true selves. Like I just read a book recently entitled You Owe You by Eric Thomas, and it honestly encouraged and inspired me to be like to read the book of me. Like I was reading someone else's book and trying to copy someone else's blueprint or narrative, false narrative, and it got me nowhere. And I speak about the kindly because of the fact that, like, I can't live through a mask. Like I can't lie to myself. Like I need to be who I am, and I need to embrace all my vulnerabilities, my depression, my happiness, my joy, because it's gonna help somebody. And everything that I speak about today in my music, um, coming upcoming music, is gonna be transparency. It's gonna be the real raw me. And if people don't like it, they could sign off. But if I don't speak about the things that I've been through, there's no way that someone else is gonna be able to heal. And that's the thing. Like when you put on like a facade, you need to keep the facade
Exactly.
going. When you are real, you don't have to keep it going. it's it's like, okay, you're who you are, so you could be offline on Facebook, on social media, one person. You could be behind the scenes, same person. Someone told me like I'm the same way I'm on social media, the way I am in real person. And I said thank you, because I mean transparency is key in life. And if you're not transparent in life, like how are you gonna, like you said, how are you gonna connect with people, and how are you gonna connect with yourself? Like, you know what I mean? So that's very essential for me to always go back to center when I'm writing a song. Okay, am I being honest, or am I telling like the whole me, or am I hiding behind a mask or a veil so that people don't know like these are the vulnerabilities so they can use it against me? It's not about that. It's about like being who you are and embracing it with your power, your fullest potential.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how it should be. That's what we all should strive for. Because if you have to be one person on social media and another person at church and another person at home and another person on your job, if you have to entertain all these different sides of yourself, that's a problem, because like you said, if you're putting up all these fronts, you have to keep up putting up the front all the time, and it's like, at what point do you lay all that down and just be who you really are and not be ashamed of it? You know what I mean? It's like, why exhaust energy trying to be something that you're not? Just be who God called you to be, and take note that, whether or not you're liked or not liked, God loves you, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. When you know and understand who you are in God and know that His love is really all that matters, everything else is secondary, and He'll place people in your life that will give that same love, in return. So it's not about chasing anything except chasing after God Himself and what you believe He has assigned for your life, at this particular time. And with that provides the perfect segue to our next segment. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Rich Vision to take the mic. Now, sir, you got space. You got space to do two tracks if you like, any two tracks of your choosing, to give our audience an idea of who you are as an artist. So at this time, the floor is yours.
Okay, I don't have tracks out per se, but I do have a couple of poems that I have prepped to share, if I can do that.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Absolutely.
And how many do I get?
If you're reading like poems, you could do up to 5.
Okay.
If you like. You got space for 5.
Perfect. I'll share them right now. The first one is called Post-it Note. It was inspired by pretty much going through serious bouts of depression, and me really alienating myself from friends and family to find myself. And this is how it goes. Post-it note is how you reached me. Evident I couldn't dare show you the real me. You would judge me, and my soul would be in pieces. And you have the audacity to ask me what my inner peace is? I used to recite an empty prayer, and now I can't seem to find the strength to utter one. I hid behind dark shades in hopes that you wouldn't bear witness to my teary eyes. I never wanted to neglect you, but I needed to find me. I never wanted to neglect you, but I owe me. I owe me peace of mind. I owe me peace of soul. And being victimized by my past is not the life that I chose. Chasing closure, not your appraisal. I was told God gives the toughest battles to the toughest soldiers. I became one of them, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I refuse to wake up empty, find a ray of hope in me. Pouring mantras into myself, and you deem me as selfish? Sick and tired pointing fingers, deem myself worthless. I'm taking power back that belongs to me, and I refuse to cling on to insecurities that no longer define me. That was a post-it note. The next one is We Matter. We matter because we are victims of mental abuse. We matter because it's not okay to confide in a noose. In fetal position, praying to get to the other side. Tell me, how do we uplift ourselves when mental scars still linger deep inside? No matter how many people we approach, they assume our mental abuse is a false narrative created inside our minds. when we're 2 seconds from our deathbeds, this cold and dark room, an open window, never designed for our sanity. Those voices in our heads yearned for strength to erase the lies that held so much real estate on our Black, desolate souls today. We matter because we weren't born a waste of space. We weren't born to tiptoe into an early grave. We choose to embrace the skin that we're in. We will not press decline. We are fighting for a cause to heal others who struggle with those same demons, same voices who were engulfed by the endless guilt and shame. We say no to mental abuse. We say no to devalue. Sometimes it takes mental abuse to truly honor our value. We no longer confide in nooses, and we are no longer running. We are not fearful of who we were becoming. We rewrote your old script, and we're taking back our lives. We are equipped with faith, and we will never be replaced. We refuse to be labeled liabilities. We matter because our voices have power to heal humanity. That was We Matter. Next one is We Talk About. Let's talk about. Let's talk about my head hung so low I could taste the concrete. Let's talk about those sleepless nights ruminating of being deserving of a deathbed as I crawled inside a black hole. You swallow my dreams whole, but don't you dare tell a single soul that I dragged myself out of bed when I felt left for dead by loved ones, and I could no longer pretend like this gray mask won't fall off if I smile too hard. And it's funny how I write I am worthy on post-it notes, and I still think lowly of me. I'm not ashamed to say that I confided in therapy and to say affirmations saved me from an early grave. I nearly overdosed on those pills, and that is not what God intended for me. I had to watch an Eric Thomas video to reignite the purpose back into me. I owe it to me to alter the narrative and to rip their self-imposed scripts. I'm not waving goodbye because I have misfits that I'm fighting for. And I refuse to be victimized by unworthy. And I also refuse to consume any disempowering thought that entices me to believe that I don't belong in this room. That was Let's Talk About. The next one is Dreams on a Shelf. They recited his dreams deserve a vacation. His dreams were in fetal position, blindly running naked in the coldest streets, laid flat on a white stretcher, envisioned them in shackles left to drown in the deepest ocean. They submitted their resignation papers last night. And without boxing gloves, it's no easy feat to fight for itself, to fight for itself when it became slighted by somebody. Well, they were shattered in his face, praying they weren't resting inside graves. Despite the naysayers, he believed his dreams will make room for him. Let him dust off those dreams and make them daily sacrifices. Because the higher power said his dreams have power to save a life. And those sleepless nights were worth saving a life. No longer placing my dreams in the hands of a stranger, bridging the gap between music and mental health for generations. So before you judge his sacrifices and his phone on airplane mode, recognize that no dreams should be left on shelves meant to heal someone other than yourself. Thank you. That was Dreams on the Shelf. And the last one is called I Am Accepted. I sorry. Am I accepted? No, really. Am I accepted? Observe how they laugh and deprecate on my message. Contemplated if I was heaven sent or wasting space. I need to value the definition of grace. Praying for self acceptance and self actualization. They deem me trash, so I don't belong on these stages. And I hid my head in shame because validation placed me inside the coldest grave. People say I shouldn't try to be liked. I acted like a G so I could feel like, because being myself didn't get a bunch of likes, and being fake is a trend, and I'd rather die being highly favored. They tell me that's not who I am. My fist is clenched. You cannot tell me who I am. Being the coolest made me feel empty, not worthy. Man, I don't even value me. The mirror read, alter the narrative. I'm ripping all of their scripts that no longer serve me or my self-worth. And I will no longer label myself as worthless because I know I am worth it. And I refuse to fall victim to comparison and feed myself narcotics in the form of self-deprecating comments. Am I really accepted? Or should I continue chasing trends? I am accepted by God, and that's all that matters in the end. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that was excellent, excellent poetry. Excellent poetry by Rich Vision. Yes, sir. You dropped a whole bunch of gems with those pieces, man. Thank you so much for coming through and sharing.
You're
Awesome
welcome.
work.
Thank you.
Awesome work. Now that provides the perfect segue into our next segment. And that is, I'm going to take a few minutes to do a little Q&A. So at this time, if there's anyone in the audience right now that would like to share a question or a comment for Rich Vision, you can unmute yourself at this time and share your question or comment. Actually, this one that I would like to ask, actually, I'll start it off. Like, what do you hope to accomplish with your work?
Mm. Yes. I I mean, at first I was like, I want to be able to like save like or heal like 1,000 people with my music. Honestly, it took a lot of um inner work to be at this point to say if I heal at least one person with my music, that's more than enough. Like I stopped thinking about the numbers game, to be honest with you, and I said it's so much power in one person being saved. And I know like everything that I worked so hard for behind the scenes is gonna be worth it in the end when someone could say like, hey, like what you did saved my life. And I had that happen one time. Someone who I never met before, he said my YouTube saved his life, and I don't know what he was going through at the time, and a complete stranger told me that. And I'm like, wow, like if I could impact someone who I don't know, just imagine what I could do when I really like press the gas and have this as a non-negotiable. Like I need to put out these songs. I can't have them on the shelf or on a hard drive not serving people. It doesn't make sense.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. Now, if you could work with any MC or any poet, living or deceased, or who would it be and why?
I would say Kendrick because transparency and like he's just like the real deal. Like he's gonna give you like all of him unfiltered, and that's why I admire his work because when you hear a Kendrick record, like that's all him. He's not trying to be like anybody else but him, and
Mhm.
I gotta respect it. I gotta respect it.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, he's definitely up there in the top 10. Well, one of the top 10 for sure, for sure. Red Salvation in the chat, she has a question. She says, Richard, how do you see you have changed from over the past year to be a forward thought thinker and move away towards a thriver mindset versus your past suicidal ideation?
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you, Red, for the question. Um, hmm, Forward thinker. You know what it is? Honestly, it again, it took a lot of healing. Me being in therapy, it really helped me see like where I was at mentally and what allowed me to be really a change to be a forward thinker is knowing that like my story is gonna serve somebody and it allowed me to really um change my perspective as far as like what I'm putting out there for other people to because I know like there's gonna be younger people who may look up to me. So I really had to really challenge myself to really um speak about things that will help them also as well to get
Mhm.
through those tough times. And that allowed me to be more of a forward thinker to know that this is not just like me living life. This is like other people are living, or how can I say it? Some people honestly living through my music and my lyrics. So that allowed me to also be a forward thinker to know that it has power to impact not even like the older people, but also the young ones as well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome question. And she's also asking, what do you contribute to be changes of your belief system?
Oh, hmm, what changes on my belief system? A lot of it is a lot of motivation, a lot of my, a lot of self uh care books that I've been reading the past couple of years really help transform my belief system and allow me to be in aligned with my purposes. And a lot of the motivational videos I watch on a daily basis help also reignite the purpose and the why and the reason why I do it to help other people. So it allowed me to yeah, that allowed me to have that as a contribution. This everything stacked up, affirmations, everything contribute to my belief system. This the things that I listen to and the community that I'm in, my accountability team that I'm in, all enhances my belief system.
Awesome, awesome, awesome questions, Red Salvation. Thank you for those questions. Now, as we get ready to close out, what's up next for you? Like, do you have any projects or events coming up on the horizon that you would like to share with our audience?
Yes, absolutely. I've been gigging like a whole lot this year. I think this is probably my 13th one on Monday, which is at Star Bar. If you're in New York, I'll be at Star Bar doing a spoken word. And on regards in regards to mental health, and I'm working on a project behind the scenes. My follow up EP will be my sophomore, so I'm excited about that because it's been a long time coming, but you know
That's what's up.
it's gonna be worth it for sure because I've been through a lot and it's like now I have the space to like actually like make those things like actualize all the things I've been going through and really like give it its worth and its time that it deserves. And yeah, just working on the EP, working on my stage performances, so getting myself out there a lot more and using my gift to help other people.
Yeah, that's what's up. And I see Red in the chat. She's like, she wants a Red and Richard
Yes,
duet.
yeah,
That's
that's in
what's
the
up.
works too. Yeah, that's
That's in the
definitely.
works. That's
Yeah,
what's
that's in the
up.
works. Yes, that's gonna be a for sure next year. That's something honestly I'm looking forward to for a while. So yeah, I'm gonna clear the plate and make room for that for sure. That's yeah, that's top of my to dos.
Yes, yes, that's what's up. That's excellent. That's excellent. Now, where can you be found on social media?
I'm on IG Rich Vision. So it's RICHVY like in yo-yo SION. No spaces, just Rich Vision. Pretty much on all platforms. You can find me there. Um, I'm mostly on IG and Facebook is my name Richard Seram. My last name is SEERAM. And for those who wanna follow my YouTube is the same as my IG, which is Rich Vision. To subscribe to see some of my performances, also to get doses of motivational videos.
Right, right. That's what's up. That's what's up. That's excellent. So as he close out, I'm going to share my screen again, because at this time I want to make it a point just to say thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank you, Rich, for coming through. Excellent poetry, excellent conversation. You touched on a lot of important subjects that I'm quite sure that are having an impact on your audience. So I wish you much success with your future endeavors. Thank you so much for coming through and sharing your gift. For those of you that would like to connect with Poets with Purpose and the PWP sessions, you can do so through the Facebook group Poets with Purpose, on Twitter @PoetsWPurpose, on YouTube with the same name, Poets with Purpose, and also on Clubhouse @The Anointed Pen. Stay tuned for episode 10 of the PWP sessions, where I'll be interviewing poet Don Krypton. That's coming up Saturday, October 29th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For more information about the PWP sessions or Poets with Purpose, you can call me at 646-372-6230, or you can email me at poetswithpurpose@gmail.com. All flyers and logos for Poets with Purpose in the PWP sessions were designed by the awesome team at Eclipse Graphics. You can find them on Instagram @Eclipse Graphics New York. You could connect with them to see samples of their work and for any projects that you may want done for yourself. Lastly, for those of you wishing to make a donation, you can do so through PayPal, Tap Media Man, on Cash App, $Anointed Pen, or through Zelle, using my phone number. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap for episode 9. This episode will be uploaded to the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel within the next hour or so. So be on the lookout for that so you can share on your social media platforms. I want to thank you all so much for coming through. Thank you, Rich, for coming through with your blazing poetry. Awesome conversation. Thanks so much to all of my guests and to all of my supporters. I wish you all of a good night and God bless. Peace.
Thank you, bro.